there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 3 of the anime series Log Horizon 2. And pretty much in this episode, we're seeing that the full raid is in full swing. It's in full effect. And I love all of the minutia that is basically being explained by Shiro that goes into such raids in, this particular kind of dungeon aesthetic between multiple groups and all these different members having to work in tandem and in unison to basically, shoot toward the same goal. Now, as somebody who's played many an RPG, like single-player RPGs, essentially, Final Fantasy-esque, those kinds of things, anyone, who's ever played a game like that can attest to meeting a boss where you basically have your butt handed to you and you have to keep playing it over and over again and whittling away, coming up with a very instinctual kind of strategy, learning the weaknesses and everything, so you can best that boss. And it's just miraculous to me that they can get anything done in an MMORPG where you have a bunch of different individuals working together. Or in this case, even though it's a similar aesthetic, you have a bunch of adventurers working together in tandem for this same goal and everything. And we see that it's a very time-consuming process. I mean, Shiro basically outlines that such dungeon raids can last up to a month or several months, and basically they're in there for that long amount of time. Basically it's Christmas by the time the episode ends, and they've only gone through the first two sort of big chief bosses in this dungeon raid, kind of stumbling around and wandering around looking for the third or the final boss, whatever it is kind of where we leave them. But it's interesting what's going on with the characters, the interplay, as you have basically William and now Sugu. They're both kind of expressing curiosity over Shiro's latent mood, his motivations, what's on his mind. William is very much sort of considering, how his people think of him and how Shiro thinks of him, because he walked away from the round table, that many months ago or a year ago, whatever it's been. And so he's very sort of wondering what exactly is playing on Shiro's mind. Shiro very much as well internally is expressing concern over his ability to fool people, to fool everyone, and kind of pull the wool over their eyes. And we're wondering what he means by that. He does mention Minami's maybe not being fooled, or maybe his concern is that she'll go along with it. I'm not exactly sure, because the first thing that comes to mind is, is it his motivations for this raid, this seeking of the wealth to hopefully bring prosperity to Akibahara? Is that what he's kept hidden and is trying to fool people as to that being his real intent? Or is it something else? We see as we go back to Akibahara during the Christmas time, people are talking about this sort of rumored special skill set for each of the different classes that sits just beyond sort of a secret skill set. There are like 4 levels, and we're talking about a mythical 5th level called the Teachings. And it seems as soon as this is brought up, you have Minami, as well as Akatsuki actually, kind of reacting to this with curiosity and maybe suspicion, as it links to this idea that the only way to attain this is by participating in a raid very similar to what's going on with Shiro and these crews together. So that's absolutely fascinating. What the real motivations are. Is this something Shiro made up just to get the right or wrong kind of people involved and focused on helping each other and everything like that? We have Demikas still being sort of, angry at Shiro, especially when Shiro helps him. I thought that was hilarious. And I gotta wonder if he's going to come into play toward the end of this raid, maybe screw the whole thing up for everybody involved. I don't know exactly. But at the end of this episode, we also have this sort of dark, villainous, benefactor overlooking the city of Akibahara, basically sharing words about the adventurers that they should not, overstep their bounds or become complacent or whatever it is, And it seems to me that he must be a person of the land to specify that they are adventurers he's talking to. And he seems like, he's not going to be any sort of friend to any of the adventurers. So it's a big question mark what his involvement in the story will be. And I just love this episode because of all of those little technical details of what goes into an MMORPG, the thought process of the battles and everything like that. And it's pitched, once again, to lead me very curiously in the next episode to see what Shiro's plans are, what the dynamics between these characters will be. Once again, we had Tetra being adorable as ever. And so, yeah, I can't wait to see where we go from here. Love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this episode if you've seen it. And otherwise, it'll be pretty much it for me on this. So I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.